everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Adventures with Jess. And now we're going to talk about that special announcement that we've had. So back in 2022, in the summertime, my husband Bror and I went on our first Alaskan cruise and with my in-laws. And we had an amazing time. We had an amazing adventure. We saw places that we had never seen before. And I don't even think we were home yet. And we were talking about when are we going to go back and when can we take, friends with us, and what friends and family or people that we know do we think would love an Alaskan cruise. And so that got us talking. And then I also was doing the group cruise to the Bahamas, and that's happening this coming summer of August of 2023. And so we got talking about how, doing a group cruise through Royal Caribbean is a breeze, and I could easily do that again, and that would be a great way to bring all of our family and friends that want to join and people that want to join with us, and also give them a really great price. So I sent out a survey, and I asked all of you, both on my business page and on my on my private page, personal page, were you interested in an Alaskan cruise, or where were you interested in going? And the number one response of where would they like to go on a cruise was Alaska. So that kind of cemented it in that, yes, that was where we needed to look at next. And then it was the when. So just the last couple of days, I, again, posted a poll and asked, both on my business page and on my personal page, of, when would you like to go? Would 2024 or 2025 be a better year for you guys to be able to join us in a group cruise to Alaska? The response was pretty overwhelming as far as either what year or didn't care, just really wanted to know more about this. And so without further ado, I'm happy to announce that we have looked at all of the numbers and pulled everything together, and we will be doing a group cruise to Alaska summer of 2025. And I'm really excited. We're both really excited to be able to introduce and some of you to cruising, because some of you have never even been on a cruise before that will join us on this one. And for those of you that have been on a cruise, to share with you a beautiful part of our country and, just breathtaking atmosphere. So we can't wait for that. Now, here's the funny part. So Royal Caribbean has not released those dates yet, their itineraries yet for 2025. We're a little bit ahead of the game, which is good because that means it gives you plenty of time to start saving your pennies, and it gives you plenty of time to put it on the calendar that this is something that you're going to do. So I can tell you that it will be somewhere between mid-July and the first week in August that we go. And the reason for that is when we did our first cruise, I did a ton of research beforehand, talked to lots of people that I knew that lived in Alaska and had gone on Alaskan cruises, and to narrow down when was the best time to go. I'm trying to avoid as much as possible Alaska's summer bird, which is the mosquito. We think we've got it bad in New York and in, the rural areas. Alaska has the largest population of mosquitoes, I think, anywhere. And so they're really bad the beginning of July. And then it also gets colder once you get into middle of August and on. So we also wanted to avoid school and sports as much as possible. And I know sports start up the beginning of August. Some schools across the country start up the beginning of August, and schools in New York State don't get out until the end of June. So that's where we kind of narrowed it down. We will have specifics once those itineraries are released. Those itineraries aren't usually released. Royal Caribbean releases their itineraries twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. I'm not sure if this spring's itineraries will cover as far out as we need them to for 2025. So it might not be until the fall, September, October of 2023 before we have specific dates. But as soon as we do, and as soon as I know when those dates are going to be released, I will let you know. As far as itineraries and where we're leaving from, we're not sure whether we'll be leaving from Seattle, Washington, or Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It will all depend, or Vancouver, Canada. It will all depend on what the itineraries look like. There were a couple of cities that we stopped in, or port stops. I wouldn't say they were cities by any stretch of the imagination, but a couple of port stops that we did that we really want to share with you, one in particular. And so we want to make sure that they're in the itinerary. And so that's going to weigh on where it is. Either way, the requirements for you to be able to go are the same. You will definitely need a birth certificate and a government issued ID if you do not have a passport. Do you need a passport? And that seems to be the most common question I get. You do not technically need a passport for an Alaskan cruise unless you are doing getting off in Canada, or we leave from Canada. And even then, you don't necessarily need a passport. And if depending on what your excursions are, there are a couple of excursions in Skagway and a couple of other areas that can go up into Canada and back. And so because of that, they ask for you to have a passport. If you don't have a passport, I know many of you, especially those that live in New York, have an enhanced license, meaning that it's good in Canada as well, and it's recognized in Canada. And if you have an enhanced license as well as your birth certificate, you are fine for those as well. So you don't necessarily need a passport. However, do I recommend a passport? Always. I always recommend a passport for really any kind of travel now. It's just that much easier. But is it required? No. Is it helpful and makes it easier? Absolutely, yes. So that's that piece of it. We'll know more, and as soon as we know more, I will let you know more. In the meantime, please let me know if you want to be added to the list to make sure that we're keeping you up to date on details and dates and when we know itineraries and all of that fun stuff. And then start saving your pennies. I can tell you that your deposit for a room of 2 people will be roughly $500. It's roughly $250 per person for a 7-night cruise. So, you can guarantee that piece of it. And then start saving towards excursions or drink packages, all those other things that we'll get into and talk about later. Excursions in Alaska do tend to be more expensive than other excursions for other destinations. And that's because they're pretty high end. I mean, you have everything from walking on a glacier to taking a helicopter ride to going dog sledding to you name it. Like, it really, there's a lot, and some of those can be pretty pricey. So do you have to spend a lot of money on excursions? Absolutely not. And we really didn't spend a lot of money on excursions. We had one excursion that I would have considered expensive, and that was less than $400. The other 2 excursions that we did were very minimal in cost. So it really is up to you, but you have plenty of time to start saving, and you have plenty of time to put it on the calendar as something you're definitely going to do and join us for. If you have any other questions about group tours, please see my previous episode. And if the answers aren't there, you can always reach out to me, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. I hope you can join us. This is going to be an amazing adventure in 2025, and we're going to have some more adventures before then, but this is one definitely for the record books. So make sure you mark it on your calendars, and make sure you let us know if you're interested and planning on joining us. Have a wonderful night. Step out of your comfort zone. Go take an adventure. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.